All right, Shalom, welcome back. Giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Kakudash. Peace and mercy and grace to the household of faith. Shalom, wa Barakium, wa Kasadium, la Bayah Amawan. And this lesson is going to be a continuation of the breakdown series of each chapter in Revelation, chapter by chapter. This time we're going to review chapter 9. Got the image of World War I in the background, and I'm going to break this down according to the teachings as I was taught from the apostles, and that was a great millstone. So I got an image of World War I in the background because the chapter 9 of Revelation is prophetic of World War I. So, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Matter of fact, let's just read a little history, a little overview of World War I. It says World War I, or the First World War, also known as the Great War, was a global conflict between two coalitions, the Allies and the Central Powers. And I'm going to break down real quick. The Central Powers was Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire, which was pretty much Turkey. And then Allied powers were Great Britain, France, Russia, Italy, Romania, Canada, Japan, and U.S. Pretty much sound like NATO. And so it says it took place mainly in Europe and the Middle East, as well as parts of Africa and the Asia Pacific. And in Europe was characterized by trench warfare, the widespread use of artillery, machine guns, and chemical weapons, and the introduction of tanks and aircraft. World War I was the deadliest conflicts in history. It was one of them, resulting in an estimated 10 million military dead and more than 20 million wounded, plus some 10 million civilian dead from causes including genocide. The movement of large numbers of people was a major factor in the deadly Spanish flu pandemic. That's a pretty interesting side note. So it was a pandemic in that time. All right, so let's go ahead and start at the very top, Revelation, the 9th chapter, the 5th trumpet, the bottomless pit. Verse 1, it says, "And the 5th angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit." All right, the bottomless pit, of course, is Europe. You can also cross-reference that with Revelation, the 20th chapter. So the bottomless pit is Europe. The pit represents land. Bottomless represents his lack of resources. Verse 2, "And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power, as the scorpions of the earth have power." Okay, so the locusts upon the earth, these represent the planes. You have something called dog fighters. Let me just put this in. Dogfighters were pilots who engaged in aerial combat, and the term dogfight refers to the close-range, fast-paced battles between military aircraft. Okay, this was a new kind of warfare. World War I was the first major conflict where airplanes were used extensively initially for reconnaissance, but soon for combat. Okay, so that's the locust is speaking about. I'm just gonna pull up an image of a locust, because John is kind of like describing stuff based on what he knows at his time. It wasn't no firefighter jets and all that shit back then, so he's describing that locust, flying. It's in the air. It looked like a locust. What he was talking about with these right here. These were this is an example of the dogfight or the locust he was talking about. So continuing on. So we got the dogfight. It says as the scorpions, verse 3, it says as the scorpions of the earth have power. And then when you're dealing with the scorpion, The scorpion of the power. The scorpion's power is in his tail. That's what that's where the venom is at. So when you look at these, you had in the rear, you had gunmen up there. As you can see he has the gun. So that this is like the tail where the power is at. You follow? I'm gonna just pull up an image of a scorpion. Yeah, it looks just like it. Bam. So continuing on verse 4, and it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. So yeah, so the dog fighters were shooting at people and other dog fighters, right? But it says only those men which have not the seal. So the men with the seal wouldn't die in the war, so that they could give birth to the elect men, because we know that the lineage continues through men. So certain men were preserved to be alive so that they can continue. Like a lot of us probably descend from men that were in that war. You know, those of us, a lot of us that come from, that's been here in Babylon. Right? Verse 5, it says, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. Yeah, so they should not kill them, which means to basically completely do away with the nation. So it was given to them that they should not kill them. They shouldn't do away with the nation. So again, we was preserved. There was a preservation that took place. All right, because like it tell you, where is that at? Let's try Baruch. Baruch 4 and 6, it says, you were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved God to wrath, you were delivered unto your enemies. So we were brought here on slave ships not to be completely done away with. Because if it was up to these damn Edomites, they would have been done wiped us out. They would have been and took us off the map. But the Lord is preserving us as a people, because we're preserved, some of us for salvation. Ultimately, our nation, being the remnant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, his seed, we're preserved to be inheritance of the kingdom of heaven. So, continuing on, Revelation 9 and verse 5, and where it says the 5 months, it said they should be tormented 5 months. The 5 months represent the 5 years, because World War I is documented. World War I was from 1914 to 1918, right? So I did a little homework. The fighting ended in 1918, so that's 4 years. But the formal end of the war came later with the Treaty of Versailles, which was signed on June 28th, 1919. So that's the 5 years, which, as it says here, 5 months. But we know that the time is not literally 5 months. In the spirit of prophecy, it was a 5-year period. Okay, verse 6, and in those days shall men seek death and shall not find it. They shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So in those days, they pretty much, they didn't have any like painkillers, penicillin, these different things that we have in modern medicine today. So what they would do is drink, liquor, alcohol, strong drink. They'd chew on these rubber pieces, and they'd do these things to help take the pain away. But it was a lot tougher back then. You know what I'm saying? So you can only imagine dealing with that shit, but you be ready to give up the ghost. So that's what that's going to now. I remember when I first came into faith, I was hearing this precept be thrown a lot around, like dealing with in the time of Jacob's trouble, hell breaking loose, and I guess you can apply it to that. Now that I'm looking back at it now, but this is the true breakdown according to what the apostles teach. So continuing on, verse 7, it says, and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as the faces of men. So it says shapes of the locusts were like horses prepared into battle. Yeah, so yeah, because horses were they were used a lot in the ancient world for battle. So he's he's describing these jets, these dog fighters again, and he's saying they were prepared for battle like horses, because again that was a major way of combat at the time of that war. Okay, so it said, what else? It said in their heads whereas the word crowns like gold. Yeah, because when you look at the Germans, they wore these helmets. They would be silver or gold. So this is a pretty cool looking one. So this is the crown of gold, like he was describing. They had them like this too. All right, so continuing on, Revelation 9 and verse 8, it says, and they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions. So yeah, on top of the military helmets, it looked like something was coming out of it. So he said it looked like, he described it as hair of women. And that would be like this. You see at the top, the spike poking out. And he said, what else? And the teeth were as the teeth of lions. Yeah, and they also they had on scarves because it was cold. So that was something else. They said hair like women. Okay, so continuing on, it says, and they had, verse 9, it says, and they had breastplates as it were, breastplates of iron. And the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. So that shit was noisy. So the breastplates of iron is the dog fighters, the material that the dog fighters were made out of. Breastplates of iron, okay? They were made out of iron, metal. And where it says, what else it said? The sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. Yeah, again, it was noisy as hell. So that's what he's saying. Verse 10, it says, tails, and they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. So again, the tails like scorpions, stings in their tails, that represent the gunman. All right, the gunman that was in the back, you see, that tail represents like that gun that he got. And it says, power to hurt men. Power was to hurt men 5 months. Yeah, they were in the midst of the war for 5 years. Okay. And as we already read the stat, a lot of people died. A lot of men perished from this war. You had 10 million. Let me see. It was in the wiki. Estimated 10 million military dead and more than 20 million wounded. So it was a lot of hurt men. Then you had some civilians that got too. Millions of civilians. So, it was bad. All right, so continuing on. Verse 11, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue his name is Apollyon. All right, so they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. So it was a German king within Europe. Okay, and this was talking about Kaiser Wilhelm II, who was connected to the royal family. So let's pull his ass up real quick. Kaiser Wilhelm II. Kaiser is it's like saying Caesar. I think that's like the Greek way or the German way of saying Caesar. So you had Kaiser Wilhelm II was the last German emperor and king of Prussia from 1888 until his abdication in 1918, which marked the end of the German Empire. so we got him. And just a side note, Abaddon, in the Greek, Apollyon, Abaddon, that means destroyer. So, like I tell you in Revelation 6, Esau, the red horse, will take peace from the earth. And him was given a great sword, and they should kill each other. Yeah, that's these Edomites killing each other, because this world war was pretty much, for the most part, Edomites against Edomites. All right, so let's go ahead and bring it on home. Verse 12, it says, "One woe is past, and behold, there comes two more woes after." So we just read about the first woe, which is World War I. So he said, and behold, there come two more after. So eventually World War II came, and now we living in the midst of World War III right now. Verse 13, the 16th trumpet army from the east, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels, which are bound in the great river Euphrates. Euphrates River, which is in the Middle East, Levant region, right? Verse 15, and the four angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day. Excuse me, it's like in a month and a year, for to slay the third part of men. We established that previous chapters. The third part of men represent the Edomites. Verse 16, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them, 200,000, which is 200 million. This is a missile army. You can precept this with Joel, the 2nd chapter, verse 11. These missiles are going to be shot in formation. The missiles are going to have multiple warheads. This is pretty much the Lord's army that he's going to set up to throw down this kingdom. All right, also with the help of his son. Verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. So the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. These are the multiple warheads that are found in the cone of the missile. So when you look at the anatomy of a missile, okay, here at the top, you have the warhead. Okay. Those are the warheads. See? And it said, and out of their mouths issue fire and smoke and brimstone, which is the warheads. Verse 18, by these three was the third part of men killed by fire. Yep, the Edomites going to be taken down by fire, which is the second death, and by the smoke and the brimstone, which is issued out of their mouths. So, Esau's system is going to be completely destroyed via this sword. Verse 19, for their power is in their mouth and in their tails. Yep. So the mouth, the warheads, the tails is the delivery system. The whole ICBM is going to be the power that takes them down. It says, for their tails were like unto serpents and had heads, and with them they do hurt. Verse 20, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, right, because this is the plague, Zechariah, because why do it say this plague? Zechariah 14 and 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. And Esau, the main one that fight against Jerusalem. He the main one to fight against so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, so-called whites. It says their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet from the fire. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Why? Because this is what the Bible calls the day of the Lord. Malachi 4:1, for behold, the day cometh that shall, what day? The day of the Lord, that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. Why? Because they're gonna melt. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. Yeah, and that's it for them. That's it for this system. That's it for this whole heaven and earth, this whole rulership. So yeah, that's why I say the plague, Revelation 9:20, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood. Yep, that just represents, their religion, their idols. It says, which neither can see, nor hear, nor walk, neither repented they of their murders, nor of their sorceries, nor of their fornication, nor of their thefts. Yep. Esau he don't have a repentant bone in his body, and even if he did, there's no acceptance for him. All right, it's Hebrews 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. For ye know how that afterward, when he would have inherited the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place of repentance, though he sought it carefully with tears. NLT. Yep, you know that afterward, when he wanted his father's blessing, he was rejected. It was too late for repentance, even though he begged with bitter tears. And yeah, it's too late for Esau's repentance. Even if he did, which he's not. So that's pretty much it. That's Revelation, the 9th chapter. Again, dealing with World War II for the most part, but we saw a little bit of how World War II and III were prophesied, and then ultimately the destruction. We ended off concluding with the destruction. So, Lord willing, this is edifying. On to the next.